Thank you. It's great to be here and actually see people in 3D again. It's been a while. Before I start, I'd like to ask you a quick question. When you think of Big Bang, what do you think of? If you think of science, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. If you think of failure, please raise your hand. Interesting. Okay. You can take your hands down, but I don't think anyone had their hand up. So I asked someone the other day what the Big Bang meant to them. And I ended up listening to how the world was created and UFO theories, which made me realize, to me, it's something completely different. To me, Big Bang means failure, and therefore growth. In my private life, in my work life, in my life as an Olympic athlete for the last 15 years, I experienced so many failures. And I wouldn't change any of them, because they gave me something much more valuable than any degree or any medal. They gave me my golden lines. So let me explain. In 2014, I played a season in Hiroshima, Japan. My time in Japan was one of the best life experiences. And that's one of the reasons why the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, now 2021, was my big goal. This is where I wanted to potentially finish my career at the biggest sport event in the world, at my then 4th Olympic Games, in a country I loved. Because I had fallen in love with Japan, with their people, with, of course, the food, and with their culture. One thing that really stuck with me is a philosophy in the Japanese culture called wabi-sabi. It's a way of living that focuses on finding the beauty within the imperfections of life and peacefully accepting the natural cycle of growth. I think this is beautiful. An extension of the wabi-sabi philosophy is this: kintsugi. Kintsugi means joining with gold, and is Japan's ancient art of embracing imperfection, the art of turning your wounds into gold. So whenever a valued piece of pottery is broken, they would repair it with liquid gold. By embracing its scars, by proudly showing its wounds, instead of hiding it, the object paradoxically becomes even more precious. It's a celebration of human flaws, and it's a reminder to stay optimistic even when things fall apart, which is something my hockey career taught me to do. I am full of golden lines. So let me tell you how I got them. As a child, I loved watching the Olympics on TV, not only because I was finally allowed to watch TV all day long, which I usually wasn't, but because it was so exciting to follow all these different sports and hear the stories of all the best athletes from all over the world. At the Athens Olympics in 2004, the German hockey women won gold. At that point, I was a 17-year-old playing in the 2nd league, trying not to go down into the 3rd league. So I was pretty far off any Olympics. And while I didn't really dare to dream that this one day could be me, I always had that little hope in the back of my mind. Only 4 years later, lots of hard work and ups and downs and dedication later, this little hope became reality. I was selected as the youngest squad member to go to my first Olympic Games in Beijing 2008, which was incredible. For any athlete, the Olympics are the biggest thing, the pinnacle of your career. Don't get me wrong, World Cups and European Championships are amazing, but the Olympics are just it. Suddenly there I was, living in the Olympic Village, the place where all athletes stay, regardless of the nationality or sport. And I remember you're meant to go there, and obviously you're meant to focus. Why then do they put distractions everywhere? I mean, it's ridiculous. The dining hall is the size of 12 football fields. It's got any cuisine you can think of, and is open 24/7. The first night in the village, I couldn't sleep simply because I was so amazed by the fact that I could get up in the middle of the night, go to the dining hall, and go to McDonald's or get 10 Snickers for free. Yes, there was McDonald's, and yes, everything is for free. I was a poor student back then. Because I was so young, I hadn't received the senior team funding yet. So my funding in the lead up to the Olympics was 75 euros per month. I guess some of you can imagine how amazing free food and drinks is then. Then there are all these stars you usually only see on TV, and suddenly laundry becomes a bit more exciting. One night I had forgotten to drop off my dirty laundry, which I needed the next day, so I quickly got my dirty laundry bag on my back, rushed out of a building, and bumped into another group of athletes who were going the same way I had to go. So I joined them, and we started talking. They asked me questions. What do I do? What are our goals? And at some point, I asked them, what sport do you do? Oh, we play basketball. Cool, basketball, yeah, nice. Where are you from? USA. Oh, right. You're pretty good, right? Turns out I was speaking to Jason Kidd, and when I asked him that question, he said, he's pretty good, Kobe Bryant. He's all right, LeBron James. Sure. And the weird thing is, this pinch yourself moment is like the most normal thing in the world at the Olympics, because all athletes, no matter who you are, where you're from, what sport you do, are united. Another day, my friend and I tried to beat LeBron in the game hall throwing baskets, which clearly didn't go so well. But at least I didn't have my dirty laundry on my back this time. And also, I think we should appreciate the photo quality of my BlackBerry in 2008. But back to the original reason why we went to the Olympics in the first place, to win a gold medal in hockey. To give you some context, we play 8 games in 12 days, 40 degrees, crazy humidity, and we constantly have to be at our absolute best to perform throughout the tournament. So it's a bit like exam season, where it all comes together and you have to be at your best. Only it's not just your mind exhausted, but your whole body too. The first step to winning a medal in hockey is reaching the semifinal. And after a tough group stage, we found ourselves in the semifinal against China. My job as a defender was to mark and simply put, make sure no one scores. Sadly, not that simple after all. Even though we had led twice, 1-0 and 2-1, the game suddenly took a turn. I was about to gain a golden line and my first big bang. Through my error, China scored the equalizer and went on to win the game. Our dream of gold, gone. Thanks to me, it felt. Have you ever had that moment where a situation plays over and over in your mind? Well, that was me. 0 sleep and just the constant rerun of a trailer I didn't even want to see in the first place. And when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. 48 hours later, we also lost the bronze medal game and became 4th. Now, becoming 4th at the Olympics, being the only team of 4 semifinalists that doesn't win a medal, is tough. And quite frankly, no one really cares if you become 4th or 12th. All that matters is, did you win a medal? We were so sad, devastated, crying, and luckily our friends and family were there to console us, but is there a right thing to say? One thing everyone said was, next time. Next time? That's in 4 years. 4 years. 4 years is an awfully long time, especially as you don't know, will I still be good enough to make the team again? Will the team actually qualify for the Olympics? And even if, will we make the semifinal again? Because that's a really hard thing to do. I didn't know the answers. No one did. But I knew that I wanted to find out. And while this experience was really painful, it helped me to look forward, to learn from it, and to use it as my fuel to get better, to work harder, constantly trying to improve, so that if I ever get into this position again, I could do better. Fast forward 4 years to the London Olympics, lots of ups and downs later. We had grown as a team. We were ranked 3rd in the world, so we were a serious medal candidate. And I had grown as an individual, determined to do better this time around. The scene was set. The London Olympics were the most amazing games. The Olympic Village was beautiful. It actually still is. If you're ever in London, have a look. The venues were unreal. And I don't know how they did it, but the UK had 3 weeks of sunshine. Unfortunately for me and my team, I was about to gain another unwanted golden line. The margins between winning and losing at the Olympics are so small. To give you an example, in our last group game, depending on how many goals we scored, we could have played the semifinal, we could have played for 5th place or for 7th place. All depending on how many goals we scored in one game. That's how close it is. Now guess how many goals we scored? 0. Not 1. It was one of those days we could have played another hour, we wouldn't have scored. And bang, suddenly you play for 7th place instead of the semi-final chasing medals. And suddenly the most amazing Olympics have got a dark cloud over them. And suddenly people say, next time again. Another 4 years? Olympic athletes' whole identity is typically wrapped around being an athlete, which makes sense, because in order to succeed, you need 100% attention. You have to sacrifice so much, time with your family, time with your friends. You miss all the parties. You take your mind and body to exhaustion, and it's your whole passion too. And while this is beautiful and the reason why athletes achieve extraordinary things, these experiences, these losses make me realize how important it is to have other things in life too, to give you balance, to help you understand what else I might be good at, what else I might enjoy, and where I want to get to. After the London Olympics, I accepted an exciting job and moved to Berlin, not retiring from hockey, but shifting my focus for a few months, broadening my horizon. This shift made me grow as a person and therefore as a player, and soon I started the preparation for the next Olympics, re-energized to finally reach our dream of winning an Olympic medal, a dream that had started 8 years ago. In Rio 2016, as the captain of a very different, very young, and very inexperienced team, we made the semifinal again. And in the semifinal, we took it to shootouts, which is like penalties in football. And in shootouts, we were leading, so we had 1.5 feet in the final, which is a guaranteed medal. And then we lost in sudden death. We were devastated, and rightly so, because we were so close. But we had another chance. 48 hours later, we would play the bronze medal game. And luckily, 3 of us had been in Beijing in 2008 before and understood the importance of this. We had been there before. We had lost a bronze medal game before, and we knew we wouldn't do it again. 48 hours later, and 8 years after Beijing, we won the bronze medal. The first bronze medal ever for the Germany's women's team. Finally, all the hard work paid off, and finally I started to appreciate my golden lions rather than be annoyed by them. It's like the Japanese say, the natural cycle of growth, and I had come 360 from losing out in 2008, losing out in 2012, to winning an Olympic medal in 2016. Now this story could end here, and it did for many of my friends and teammates, but I decided to continue another 4 years. I saw potential in the team, thanks to COVID, and ended up being 5 years. And again, we were a serious medal candidate for Tokyo. On the 27th of May this year, I received a phone call that changed my life. Selection day for the Olympic team. Selection day is the most nerve-wracking thing you can ever experience. You literally just sit at home and stare at your phone and wait for the national team coach to call you, anytime between 9 a.m. and 9:20. My phone rang at 9:17. The moment I picked up the phone and heard his voice, I knew this wasn't good news. And it wasn't. He had decided not to select me for the Olympics as the captain of the team with the experience of 3 Olympic Games. And while I would never just expect to be selected, this was a big shock for me, my teammates, and everyone around me. The reasons and the story behind it would fill a whole other TED Talk. So let's just say it was a big bang, and possibly the biggest golden line I might ever have. After everything I had put into this for the last 15 years, the sacrifices I and the people around me had to make, or the love and the passion and the energy that had gone into it, my career was over in the blink of an eye because of the personal opinion of one individual. Now, there was no next time for me. I was devastated, sad, and incredibly frustrated. But luckily, one of my strengths is the ability to see the good, even in the bad. Alongside my hockey career, I had completed a bachelor's and an MBA. I worked in different corporates, and I had founded 2 startups. All of this giving me balance and energy, enabling me to succeed and to get back up after defeats. So while I did go through all the emotions of this big bang, I shifted my focus to the positives. Not only was I able to spend a lot of time with my newborn son, which I would have missed completely otherwise, and actually he's here today, but also had the chance to pursue other projects and grow my startup in a way that wouldn't have otherwise been possible. So what have my big bangs taught me? Whether we like it or not, bad times and failure will come. It's inevitable. So when you fail an exam, when you don't get the job you applied for, when something doesn't go the way you planned or wanted it, remember, it's just another golden line from which comes huge learnings and an opportunity to grow. Trust that each golden line will create a path that will take you to exactly where you're meant to be. It did for me. Thank you.